introduction. So, tonight I want you to think about a few things. President Reagan said that freedom is not passed along in the bloodstream. What he means is that it must be protected for the next generation, and they in turn must preserve it for the next. Because if we lose it now, the next generation after you will never know what it was. You are the next generation that must protect your freedoms, not only for yourselves, but for those who will come after you. I am here doing my part. I took my oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic, over the tomb of the unknown soldiers. And I believe that that oath does not come with an expiration date. Some of you may know that I worked as a bodyguard around the world, working in unfree nations, and I fall in love with America every time I return from one of those assignments. So I'm not going to give you a typical college lecture on the dangers facing us as a nation of free people, and that it will be up to you to comprehend this abstract notion of personal freedom, which probably means to some of you that you get to stay out past curfew and no one needs to tell you what time to go to bed. But what I am going to do in this short time is I'm going to challenge you to think for yourselves and understand the value of freedom by taking it away from you. Imagine if you were not permitted to practice your religion, speak your mind, read a newspaper, own a firearm, have no privacy, be searched anytime, any place, have your property seized from you, be unable to vote, unable to travel, and only work where you are told, do what you are told, and can only think what you are told to think. All in return for free stuff. Just pay with your freedom. Some of you saying here, hey, that sounds like life under my parents' rules. Or my wife's. But you wouldn't be far off. You wouldn't be far off. Because that is an example of the nanny state, authoritarian, totalitarian status rule. Government of the state, for the state, by the state, where each one of you are reduced to a slave of the state. Where the state decides what babies should live or die, or whether the elderly should be cared for or not. It will be up to you not to let your natural instinct of rebellion be purged from your mind or surrender your soul for the illusion of safety or comfort. We, Americans, are the last free people on earth. Your generation is guaranteed individual freedom by the Bill of Rights. Harriet Tubman said, I freed 1,000 slaves, but I could have freed 1,000 more if they knew they were slaves. You must come to value the difference between being an individual who is free from the state or a slave of the state. You cannot choose without knowing the difference. If you were crossing the desert and dying of thirst and came across a bottle of brown sewer slime sludge, you would drink it. I know Joe Candela would. He'll drink anything. But if there was also a bottle of crystal clear water, you would choose to drink that instead. Such is the difference between freedom and slavery. It is your job. It is your job to challenge authority, question your professors, do your own research, find out things for yourself, apply deductive reasoning, value truth, and seek it out. For instance, ask questions like, why is Afghanistan the longest war in U.S. history? It took George Washington and a ragtag colonial army less time to defeat a world superpower like the British, using single-shot muskets and cannon. It took the United States less time to defeat fascism, and imperialism in World War II using 1940s technology. Is there a coincidence that Afghanistan produces 90% of the world's heroin and opium supply, or that there are plans for a Central Asian pipeline that can deliver trillions of dollars of crude oil and natural gas that cuts right through Afghanistan? Investigate it. Look it up. Some of you may end up fighting in Afghanistan because the United States is obligated to occupy Afghanistan until 2024. 2024. Look it up. I challenge you to look it up. Find out for yourselves. Did you know that you may be subject to the International Criminal Court without the protections of the U.S. Constitution if the United States signs a treaty that could pierce the shell of the Bill of Rights? Look it up. I challenge you to look it up. Did you know that your right to bear arms may become an international crime if the United States signs the Small Arms Ban Treaty? Carrying a gun in the United States may be an international crime if the United States signs that treaty. Look it up. Think about it. Did you know that submitting to an electronic strip search at the airport does not protect you from an underwear bomber? Because now hundreds of people are lined up at a choke point waiting to get scanned by the TSA looking for a bomb. But what is the plan if they find one? Ask the bomber to put the bomb in the bucket with the shampoo and mouthwash before he can get on the plane? Does that make sense? Think about it. I want you to think about it, folks. Which of the amendments to the Bill of Rights are being violated by the TSA? And is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? Is it worth giving up any of the Bill of Rights? Think about it. Give it some thought. Is it better to earn your grade or redistribute your grade? Should everyone in your class get an equal passing grade, or should you work hard for an individual grade? Yeah? So your professors should expect from each according to their ability and give to each according to their need. Is that right? Think about it. Give that some thought. Who is the most endangered minority in the United States of America? Whites, blacks, Asians, Hispanics, Jews, Christians, Muslims, Hindus, or Buddhists? Or is it the individual? Is the individual the most endangered minority in the United States of America today? Think about it. Freedom is not passed along in the bloodstream. But I tell you this, hundreds of millions come from every corner of the globe to find it here in America. Thousands swim through shark-infested waters to seek out what you are born with. Arlington National Cemetery is sacred ground where soldiers from the Civil War till today are buried with full military honors because they died protecting it for you and I. The unknown soldiers interned at the tomb not only lost their lives for our freedoms, but they lost their identities also. We will never know who they were, but we should never forget what they did to protect our freedoms. Now you know. Now it's up to you to pass it along to those who will come after you. Because if you do not preserve it now, if you do not protect it now, and if you do not pass it on to the next generation after you, they will lose it forever. Think about it.